Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Welcome to Congregation Beit Tikva. We're glad you're with us this evening. Please join with us all the songs and beautiful music we're going to celebrate tonight for Shabbat Shirah with our Cantor, Ephraim Herrera, and Wendy and Alma Dankoff. So we begin this evening's service with Eli Eli. It's on page 653 in the Siddur. O God, my God, I pray these things shall never end. Which you'll find in the prayer book on page 636. 636. Let's turn now to the blessing for the Shabbat candles. We will not light the lights here in the sanctuary right now. It's not yet Shabbat, but please, at your own home and in the convenience of your own living rooms, please kindle the Shabbat tapers. So I'm going to read on top of 121 and then ask the Cantor to chant the blessing for us. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kideshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu להדליק נר של שבת.
Let's read together. We're on page 124, top of the page.
We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into this sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door in the brightness of Shabbat. Let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. Amen.
So we turn to the Psalms which help us welcome the Shabbat, and we always begin with Psalm 95, which many of you know by heart, I think at this point. L'chu neranana. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai, on page 130.
L'chu neranana, l'chu neranana, l'chu neranana, Adonai. L'chu neranana, l'chu neranana, l'chu neranana, Adonai. Naria, naria, l'tzur yishenu, l'kabach panav v'todah. Naria, naria, l'tzur yishenu, l'kabach panav v'todah. L'chu neranana, l'chu neranana, l'chu neranana,
We're reading together in the English, bottom of the page. Come, let us sing joyously to Adonai. Raise a shout for a rock and deliverer. Let us come into God's presence with praise. Let us raise a shout for God in song. For Adonai is a great God, the great ruler of all divine beings. In God's hand are the depths of the earth. The peaks of the mountains are God's. God's is the sea, God made it, and the land which God's hands fashioned. Come, let us bow down and kneel, bend the knee before Adonai, our Maker. For Adonai is our God, and we are the people God tends, the flock in God's care. Oh, if you would but heed God's charge this day. So we turn to Psalm 29. Mizmor LeDavid. We're on page 136. Our Cantor will chant for us.
Mizmor LeDavid, havu l'Adonai b'nei elim, havu l'Adonai kavod va'oz, havu l'Adonai kavod shemo, ishtachavu l'Adonai behadrat kodesh, kol Adonai al hamayim, el hakavod hirim, Adonai al ma'im rabim, kol Adonai ba'koach, kol Adonai Adonai shover arazim, Vaishaber Adonai et arze halvanon, Vayarkidem kemo egel, Levanon vesirion, kemo veneremin. Kol Adonai chotzef lahavot esh, Kol Adonai yachil midbar, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh, Kol Adonai yecholel ayalot.
Together on 137, the voice of Adonai kindles flames of fire, the voice of Adonai convulses the wilderness.
Adonai convulses the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of Adonai causes hinds to calve and strips the forest bare. While in God's temple all say, Glory! Adonai sat enthroned at the flood. Adonai sits enthroned, sovereign forever. May Adonai grant strength to God's people. May Adonai bestow on God's people well-being.
So we lift up our voices together to sing one of our favorite Shabbat melodies, Lecha Dodi. We're on page 138. Please join us. We're singing, as we always do, verses 1 and 2, and then on the next page, verse number 9. Which is on 144. If you're comfortable and able, please remain standing through the Shema Yisrael.
Yitkadal v'yitkadal shemei Rabba, be'alma nivrach yinutei yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayed echol Beit Yisrael. Bagala, bagala, u'vizman kariv, v'imeru, amen. Yesh me'rabba mevarach, le'alma me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'ishtabach, v'yitbar, v'yitromam, v'yiznaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitraleh, v'yitalal, shmei lekudesha, v'yichu. לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, ואמירם מעלה, ואמרו Amen.
Please sing with us the Baruch Hu, the call to worship.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
We're reading together the first blessing, Ma'ariv Aravim. We're on page 148. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses,
according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzebaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai,
who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Ma'ariv Aravim. The second blessing together in English, we're on page 150. Everlasting love you offer your people Israel by teaching us Torah, mitzvot, laws, and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We join together for the Shema Yisrael. We're on page 152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod, Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Let's all be seated, please. We continue with the V'ahavta. In your Siddur, it's on page 154. We'll read together in the Hebrew first. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'lechtecha v'derech v'v'shachbecha v'kumecha v'shartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha v'uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharecha l'man tizkaru v'asitam et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim v'liot lachem le'elohim ani Adonai Elohechem emet. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. So let's turn to verses from Exodus chapter 15, which is part of this week's Torah portion. We're singing with our Cantor Mi Chamocha. We're on page 158.
Adonai, mi kamocha, nedar bakodesh. Nora tehilot, osef ele, Nora tehilot, osef ele. Malchutecha, rabbanecha, bokeh hayam, lifnei Moshe uMiriam, zeli anu v'yameru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam v'ed.
So we turn now to the beautiful blessing that we always recite or sing on Friday night, the Hashkivenu, asking God to shelter us, to protect us, defend us against illness and war, famine, and viruses. We have a beautiful duet with Alma and Wendy. The words are on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, ve'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu, Sukkot shomecha, v'taknenu etzah tova milefanecha. Ve'hoshienu leman shemecha.
We continue with the Vishamru. The people of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, observing Shabbat throughout all the ages as a covenant for all time. The words you'll find on page 162.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et haShabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם. בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את
the 7 essential blessings of the Shabbat service, the Tefillah, which begins on page 164. We always stand up together to chant these blessings. If you're comfortable, please join us. We begin with a verse from Psalm 51, and then turn the page to 166, and we'll sing together the first blessing.
Adonai sepatai tifta ufi adi v'niratecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VeHaNorah, Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Kodeh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרא. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, בחיי הכל אתה נא והושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, בחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל.
Let's read the third blessing together. In English, we're on 171. Days pass and the years vanish when we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You may all be seated in the comfort of our homes. Let's read a metaphorical rendering of the Kadesha Shabbat, the fourth blessing, top of page 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Let's read together a poetic translation of the Ritzei. In the middle of 175, this is a rendering from the Psalms, page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, and our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, We look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch atah Adonai, sholcha levacha b'yirah na'avot. The blessing of thanksgiving, the Modim. We're reading on page 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth, which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, ulachana lehodot. So we come to our seventh blessing, the blessing of peace. Let's turn the page, and we're all singing together Shalom Rav on 178 in your Sidurim.
Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Israel Amcha Tasim Leolam. ותאמר לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Let's take a few moments for our own personal prayers.
May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Be acceptable to you.
Before we come to our Torah portion for this Shabbat, let's take a few moments and think of our loved ones, our family, our friends, our congregants all over the country in need of strengthening, of healing, of lifting up their spirits, lifting up their physical being, their emotional well-being as well. And we remember all of our dearest on this Shabbat. First of all, to remember some of our congregants: Judith Kingsley, Lynn Kelly, Flo Vinnick, Arlene Vinnick, Bonnie Cantor, Cantor Ephraim Herrera, and Mark Sanders, our dear congregant and friend, and many others as well. So as we are singing together, think of your own loved ones and friends who are in need of strengthening on this Shabbat. Do you have any names? Tristan Benson, one of your grandsons. So we're going to sing together with our cantor. We're on page 371, in the middle of the page, Misha Berach Avotenu.
Rabbi, I think Elisheva has someone in mind.
Oh, please.
Stephanie Liss and Bruce Berger.
Stephanie Liss and Bruce Berger.
And Kai Brown. And Lee Gamble.
Lee Gamble. Thank you. This is a magnificent parasha, Torah portion, known as Bishalach, which begins in the middle of chapter 13 of Exodus. And the Sabbath is called the Sabbath of Song because when we come to chapter 15, we read the great song of Moses and Miriam, the liberation, the redemption song, the song of freedom, the song of thanksgiving for allowing the Israelite people to cross through the sea. The word song in Hebrew, it's called shirah, but shirah has many meanings. Shirah means also a poem. Shirah also, from the verb shur, means a vision of looking into the future, seeing something greater than the immediate conditions of one's life. So Bishalach, this Torah portion has so many stories that I can only share one or two with you. It is perhaps the most dramatic, one of the most well-known scenes in biblical literature. Just imagine all of us as slaves, and suddenly we're told to pick up our garments and with haste eat matzah and get out of the land of Egypt as quickly as possible, being pursued by a ravenous, gigantic army of Pharaoh's legions. And then imagine suddenly the sea is splitting. How does that happen? Israel crosses through the waters led by Nachshon ben Aminadav, and Moses, and all of these scenes are indelibly imprinted on our minds, on our consciousness. In case you've forgotten, just watch the movie Exodus in April. It's always on a few days before Passover. We are a people who are precisely remembering our origins. Our origins as slave people have to be reminded that freedom is not only a gift, it's something more powerful than just a gift. It's not just a snapping of God's invisible hand, but it is a gift of love and justice. It's a gift of responsibility. And this story is perhaps one of the cornerstones, obviously one of the cornerstones of our Jewish existence. But if you read these chapters carefully, you'll find out that no sooner are we given this great gift than the Israelites simply forget how wonderful it is, how extraordinary this gift is from the Almighty, and they start complaining. We have crossed over through the sea. The Egyptian legions have drowned. What are we doing? First, we complain about the lack of water. Then we complain about the lack of goods. Then we complain about decent food. Where are the restaurants? Then we complain about simply not being back in good old the land of Egypt. Eretz Mitzrayim. At least it was familiar. At least we knew we'd get 3 square meals a day, and we knew what we had to do at 6:30 in the morning. So it's no wonder that the Midrash on Shemot, on the book of Exodus, says, "Have you forgotten all the miracles which God performed for you?" Miracles clearly seem to be an ineffective way of inculcating a consciousness of God. By that I mean, if we just rely on miracles, how do we establish or build up our faith in the Almighty? How do we learn how to be grateful if we're always waiting for miracles? Consider our previous history. The people lived in an idyllic garden. What happened in the garden? Cain slew Abel, and Adam and Eve didn't listen to God very carefully. Then God sends a flood because the ancient people in the time of Noah weren't such good people as it turns out. That also is a failure. The people react violently. God then enslaves the Jewish people once we came into Egypt and sends us a liberator, the great Moshe, redeems us from Egypt. And after 10 miraculous plagues, we're still acting rather badly. We're still shrieing and crying. We still are complaining. Then we get the 10 Commandments. And having received the 10 Commandments, we fall back into troubles as well. We fall back into our tsuras one more time. So the reason I give you this quick recount on Jewish history is that it seems to me that if you read the Torah carefully, the miracles don't work. People marvel at miracles. They think they're extraordinary, they're supernatural, but they forget about the result, the consequence of the miracle as soon as it's over with. A few days later, as I say, if you read chapter 14 carefully, the Jewish people, the Israelite people, are complaining. So what I want to stress on this Shabbat is that the way we improve our human character, our inner spirit, is not through special effects. It's not through Hollywood stories. To transform human behavior requires constant, gradual education, reinforcement, a little bit of discipline, a sense of a powerful community. If you think about it, the shift from biblical Judaism to rabbinic Judaism, which took more than 12 or 1400 years to bring about, that transformation into what we call rabbinic Judaism, meaning that the teachings of the rabbis during the Talmud and the post-Talmudic times, what they were trying to say is we can't just rely on divine insight, divine intervention in history. What we have to rely on is inner transformation and an inner sense of self-discipline. So how do we get to that inner transformation? Actually, what we do is we take little steps, prosaic, step by step by step. We move forward in our own education. What does that mean? It means really taking mitzvot seriously. It means moving little by little towards a deeper understanding of Shabbat, a sense of tzedakah, which means supporting the whole community, a sense of delving into the world of social justice, of dealing with the problems that we have in our own country, in our own community right now, homelessness, hunger, education of our children when we are in the midst of this pandemic. All of those mitzvot are on our shoulders. It's not for someone else to do. It's for us to walk the walk. We have to pray every day. We have to study. We have to bring God's presence into our daily lives, little steps at a time. Let's not wait for miracles. Such a transformation, I would suggest, is not an easy thing to do. In fact, this past week, one of our congregants called me up from out of state and said, Rabbi, I want to kind of get myself more properly directed towards my Jewish essence. He said, can you send me 10 blessings that I should recite every single day as a beginning? And he added in his footnote in the email, I know I'm supposed to say 100 blessings a day, but let me start with 10. So I pulled out, so I looked in our Siddur in the morning service. There are dozens of blessings to be recited. Nisim B'chol Yom, the miracles of daily living. And I sent our dear friend 10 of them. And I said, start with those. It's a good way to build up your spirit. It's a good way for us to walk the path of mitzvot. The reward of such a transformation is precisely what God sought to do 3,000 years ago when the Almighty changed the course of waters on the Reed Sea. But the Almighty can do that. You and I can't do such extraordinary things. We have to do little things. And the Jewish community, which puts God at its center through the practice of studying, learning, caring for others, doing for others, lifting up the synagogue, that's what will miraculously build this congregation. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
So I want to invite our Cantor and Wendy to offer this beautiful melody. It's called Ve'ulai.
Well, Rabbi, keeping in vein with your Devar Torah and Shabbat Shirah, Wendy and I actually have a freedom song we'd like to sing. This freedom song is called I Wish I Knew How It Would Feel to Be Free. It was made famous by Nina Simone, and I recall singing it as a child in junior high in 1972 in the Chicago area, and this song always has stuck in my head. And so this song is fitting for our times, for the time now. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all these chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things I should say. Say 'em loud, say 'em clear, for the whole world to hear. I wish I could share all the love in my heart, remove all the Gospel Shabbos. Gospel Shabbos.
Tomorrow morning, Shabbat morning, we will have Torah study, as we always do on Zoom at 9:30 in the morning. Please join us. If you need the passcode, just look on our Wednesday e-blast that everyone receives, and you'll see how to access and join with us. Monday night is our Board of Trustees meeting. We'll also be on Zoom. Right now, we're going to continue doing Shabbat services via YouTube for the next, at least for the next couple of weeks, until things in Santa Fe calm down and the virus perhaps diminishes. You know that the public schools will be closed next week. All education will be remote on computer for the following week and perhaps a little bit longer. So we're trying our very best to protect everyone and keep everyone healthy and safe and strong. Any other special blessings? I want to say thank you to our president, Elisheva Herrera, who is recording this service for us. Again, to Alma and Wendy for wonderful music, and thank you, Cantor, Ephraim, for your lifting us all up. So let's go to our closing song, our closing prayers, On 586, we all stand up and sing together the Aleinu. If you're looking in your Siddur, it's on the bottom of page 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We turn to a poem before we come to the Kadesha. Let's read together. We're on page 583. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, they too shall live. For they are now a part of us as we remember them. On this Sabbath, we recall with love and devotion beloved family members and congregants whose lives are simply gone, whose memories shall always be a blessing to us and a source of strength and inspiration to all of us. On this Shabbat, we recall on their Yizkor memorial, their yard site, Sam Bickle, father of Norton Bickle and Sheila, Bella Susser Blyman, the mother of Marcia Berman, Joan Fleetwood, friend of Marilyn Cohen, Blossom Feingold Levy, my mother, Shayna Rosenberg, daughter of Stuart and Connie Rosenberg, Fanny Jane Satterthwaite, the mother of Michelle Goldman. Pete Garule, friend of Alma and Wendy's. And also William Coffey. We recall as well our longtime congregant, B. Shulman, friend and dear congregant for many, many years. Are there any other yardsticks for this Shabbat?
I don't know if it's appropriate, but I'd like to just add Bob Saget also to the yahrzeit prayer. I'm not sure if he's already been buried, but I'm sure he has been, since he was a Jewish man and a beloved person in the Jewish community. And one of Ellie's friends knew him personally. You know.
Thank you. And may his memory always be a blessing for all of us. Please turn to the Kaddish. The words are on page 598. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabba v'yamad v'yivarach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh l'chol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabba mevarach la'olam ul'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei Kadesha brichu la'ala min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama Rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
We conclude our Shabbat service with the Kiddush. The words you may find on page 123 in the Siddur, page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahavav ratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר לציית מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. Shabbat shalom to everyone.
Shabbat shalom, a sweet Sabbath to everyone.